As COVID-19 began to spread, a maker movement began to spread, connecting designers, engineers, and medical workers all over the world through thousands of Facebook groups, Slack channels, and forums, determining how they can best use their skills to fight the virus. Within the global discussion, local makers joined forces to focus on needs, forming the Boston Makers. As a group, we put our brains, hearts, and 3D printers together, talked to local healthcare workers and suppliers, determined our makerspace's capacity for manufacturing, and made a game plan. Lowell Makes began prototyping 3D printed respirators, working with medical experts at MGH to test filtering and breathability. With the design verified, they began printing, gathering volunteers to help them assemble and distribute the respirators to local hospitals. Fab at CIC researched the best cloth mask designs and landed on the Olsen mask developed by nurses at Unity Point Health in Iowa. They rallied the sewing community, and together they sewed over 4,000 cloth masks. Boston Makers and several other makerspaces jumped on board with Fab at CIC and helped produce fabric masks as well. So too did the South End Technology Center, who started the PPE for People campaign, providing masks to some of the most vulnerable people in our community, such as the homeless, those in assisted living facilities, and essential workers. Artists Asylum put an immense amount of energy into manufacturing PPE. They formed groups to work on each type of PPE, from face shields to face masks to full body suits and even gloves. After their initial prototyping, they recruited volunteers to begin production of their most promising products, face shields and suits. We at the Makery began designing and prototyping face shields and masks, and ultimately determined that we would be best suited as a hub for assembly and distribution. We set out to form partnerships so that we could begin bringing PPE parts together and getting them in the hands of those who need them most. Our first major partners were Micah Nelson and Susan Kistler, who reached out to connect us to their organization, Masks for Docs. They were working to connect individual makers who could 3D print PPE in their shops or homes to central locations for assembly and distribution. We would become the primary central location in Massachusetts. Soon after, we met Faith Michaels. An active member of the Brookline community, Faith took on the role of liaison and organizer between those making PPE and those who needed it. She not only made connections, she was there to solve any problem that got in the way of putting PPE in the hands of those in need. Lastly, after being connected through Faith, we worked hand in hand with Jeremy Katz, founder of JK Automotive Designs. He and his partners in the automotive industry had already begun a massive effort to manufacture tens of thousands of face shields and needed a place for assembly and distribution. Through the assembly lines we set up, the Makery, the Brookline Teen Center, and CrossFit Coolidge Corner, we continue to serve the community, but in a new way. The only remaining step was recruiting a team of volunteers to begin assembling. With the generosity of the Brookline community, we were soon joined by hundreds of people, from librarians to Brookline High students, to family members of medical workers, to people who simply heard about our efforts and wanted to help. Thanks to these incredible volunteers, we assembled 32,000 face shields in 1 month. And donated them to over 100 hospitals, shelters, first responders, and essential local businesses. The effort has been proof of the incredible strength and generosity of the Brookline community, and we hope that this strength will lead us towards a future of positive change on all fronts. Thank you from the bottom of our hearts to all of our volunteers. A special thanks to Faith Michaels, Jeremy Katz, and all of the Boston makers who made this possible.